many people hate happiness. And this is really what lies at the root of the psychotic backlash that I received for committing the sin of talking about my children in public. I'm a family man, and I'm happy in that role, and I'm proud of my family. That's why I talk about it. And that makes certain people very upset. Why? I mean, why do people get offended by that? Why get offended by happiness? Because they're deeply unhappy and miserable themselves, and they take your happiness as a personal affront. You know, the adage about misery loving company is true, but I think it's important to understand why it's true. That this sort of miserable, selfish person has given up on striving for anything better in life. Instead, they try to attain happiness by using this kind of bell curve method. If they can drag everyone else down, if they can spread their misery around, then they'll have increased their own happiness in comparison to the average. It's like if you earn more money, you'll have made yourself richer. But if you earn the same amount while everyone else loses money, you'll have closed the gap between yourself and the richest person, thereby making yourself richer on average. Many people in our culture choose the latter approach, both metaphorically and also literally when it comes to money. Yet, of course, not all forms of happiness are equally as threatening to the miserable, selfish person. In fact, he'll be very encouraging to you if you are seeking pleasure in selfish pursuits, or if you're doing things that are materialistic or shallow or, that aren't that meaningful, and you're happy about it, and you talk about how you're happy about it. These sorts of people, they'll be very encouraging of that. They're happy, okay? Because that is a non-threatening sort of happiness that you're experiencing. But this sort of person is especially offended by the happiness you derive from good, true, fulfilling things, from a life of service to your family. That's the most offensive kind of happiness to them. They hate that. They really hate it. That is the kind of happiness that this sort of person hates most of all, because he has told himself that sort of happiness is impossible. He's either childless and lonely, facing the prospect of dying alone and unloved, trying to convince himself that this is the preferable option, or he has a family, but his family is broken and poisoned by resentment, and his kids hate him, and his wife left him or whatever, or husband left him, if it's a man or woman, and just everything's in shambles. And they're trying to convince themselves that it's not their fault, that this is always how it ends up with families. All families end up this way. Well, your happiness in your family life interferes with this mental narrative, and so they will hate you for it. They're trying to lie to themselves, and you're getting in the way of the lie. And that's what lies at the root of all of this. And it's why these pathetic, miserable wretches, not to add insult to injury, not that they need anymore, but they are all canceled.